Hello everybody. Shit People Say is back again for the millionth time. And you might be wondering why I'm looking like a goddamn crack dealer right now, and it's because, well, yeah, that's why. Oh my lord. So yeah, I'm basically gonna go ahead and read some comments now about DLC because Bethesda's not doing anything, so I need to make something happen so I can keep doing this series. So yeah, DLC. Let's see what the community has to say, shall we? I can't wear this fucking winter hat. I need to put on a different hat. Alright, I got my edgy hat. Psych, I don't like this either because it doesn't fit my head. I give up. I'm putting the fucking winter hat back on. Nothing's working right now. Bethesda should really add more side quests and expand upon the ending. I agree. This seems to be the most common request, is that Bethesda needs to add more endings, fix some endings, like expand upon them, add more content for after the game, and just add more quests in general, because compared to Skyrim, apparently Fallout 4 is nothing. Now, I believe in a quality versus quantity thing, but not every single side quest in Fallout 4 is this masterpiece. So I have to admit that I think adding some more quality quests to the game, just to up that number at least get it somewhere close to Skyrim, would actually be worthwhile for the gamer. It would also severely prolong the life of the game, really build some more excitement around it, that there's this big content pack coming that's just a bunch of quests in the same location, just to kind of hold us over until we get to a new area in the game. So yeah, this seems to be the most common request for Fallout DLC. Boston! Yeah, apparently my accent, and I say that in quotes because I really don't have any form of a New York accent, but with like certain words it triggers, and apparently when I say Boston, that's it, me saying naturally Boston. Apparently I go Boston like that. Like I really get into it when I'm talking naturally, and apparently it just kicks in, and everyone in this comment string is just making a bunch of New Yorker jokes, and I don't get it, man. Mothership Zeta, best DLC, we need more Alien DLC. The fact that this accumulated 86 thumbs up kind of irks me, because this is the most untrue statement to ever be written on my channel, because Mothership Zeta sucks. It is the worst DLC hands down, especially if you play on a higher difficulty. Are you kidding me? It's awful. It is just god awful, because there's this one alien type, I forgot its name, that has a shield and just doesn't fucking die. I prefer the aliens to stay to the side as an Easter egg, as they've always been, because the fun of discovering them for the first time and unveiling them is really exciting stuff. Making a whole DLC and story about it and trying to make it sound like they caused the Great War is just ridiculous. I know they had to make it interesting somehow, but aliens? Are you kidding? I also look at another game, Sleeping Dogs with Nightmare on North Point or whatever it's called. That DLC was like this supernatural thing. Just games that are supposed to be taken seriously that do this supernatural DLC and try to tie it into the main game. It's just awful. Don't do it anymore, developers. Please, it just doesn't work. These are two games, Fallout 3 and Sleeping Dogs, that I loved with all my heart, and both of them I had such a bad taste in my mouth after this supernatural DLC. I'm like, what the fuck is this? More side quests is all I ask for. It is inexcusable how Skyrim had over 400 side quests and was worked on for only 5 years, compared to Fallout's 100 or so that was worked on for 7 years. How the hell does that happen? Well, I think number one is that Fallout 4 wasn't really into full spring development until about 2012, because I know pre-production started in 2009, but they really didn't move on to their next project fully until all of Skyrim's DLC was out. And then they're learning this new tech, and then you're adding a voice protagonist in there, and I think a lot of it was a much heavier workload than Bethesda had ever even imagined. I think that's part of the reason why there's such little content there, but I think the most important aspect to focus on is the voice protagonist. While they did a fantastic job, I think the issue here was that they had to record all these lines for all these quests, so they couldn't add hundreds of quests, because all it would have been was a one-way conversation where they talk to you. You had to add Brian in, Courtney in, and all that stuff, companion extra dialogue for them. And while I think they still should have went for it, I think it would have taken a lot more time to do so. Add the Enclave. Okay. This is why the Fallout fandom can never get what they want, because before the game came out, everyone was saying no more Enclave. I'm sick of the Enclave, and they're in every game. They're always there, man. I can't take it. I agreed. I was one advocator who was always saying don't bring back the Enclave. It's time for a new antagonist for Fallout. And Bethesda listened and did that, and it was fantastic. It was more interesting, and now everyone's like, oh dude, now bring them back, Bethesda. What the fuck are you doing, bro? And I'm just sitting here like, you were just telling them you didn't like. Well, if I was Bethesda, man, I would not crowdsource anything. I would just be like, these people don't know what they want. Just do our thing. And I hope to God they really do their thing and don't take too much from us, because some people out there, including myself, are just so indecisive on this stuff. Maybe Bethesda was foreshadowing at the start of the game. Maybe the Anchorman was hinting towards possible DLC locations. He said something about a cool breeze blowing from Canada. Our military troops overseas confirm reports of nuclear detonation in New York and Pennsylvania. And I I agree. I always had this feeling that these were just specific locations that keep getting called back into this game. Not only in the beginning, you also see them in multiple areas like written on terminals, or you hear them from different radio stations that you can find throughout the wasteland, where it's just always these locations. Canada is the only exception that you don't see as often, but I think with Toronto, which is a place I talked about in my video on the DLC, I think that would be a good setting for Fallout, but also moving it out of the United States just for a test. But yeah, I really do feel like they were kind of hinting about like, hey, these are some other locations, because you know, like the name of any location just gets a Fallout fan's brain going. They're like, oh my gosh, imagine a Fallout game there. I want some Bioshock shit in a DLC. A fully underwater city built by the Enclave. The entire city doesn't even know about the war that happened above because they were all underwater when it happened, and the Enclave had never let anyone leave. Come on, this would be so badass. Now, I'm not one to advocate this type of crazy shit, but imagine this, okay? You enter this new DLC location underwater. We think of that little shack that you can find underwater in those screenshots from Fallout 4 where some guy went like 30 hours up and down the ocean. You go inside that shack and you go inside this little tube and it brings you down. You enter a brand new civilization that was down there for years and years and years for some type of scientific experiment, not because of the nuclear war. They had no idea that was coming around, but because they fell in love with what they were building there. They ended up being stuck down there and found a way to live down there. Now imagine that you have to introduce to them that you are from a world above, and this world above has been absolutely annihilated. Now you bring in a new aspect of the lore where you can actually have a civilization that might come in and breathe fresh air into this new civilization, although it's destroyed, and I think that could lead to a really interesting story. But like I said, realistically and lore-wise, I don't think it would work, but still the idea is cool. It doesn't have to be by the Enclave, but you know, just the idea there. Because you look at kind of like the Institute, and how that's like an underground area, and how they're basically unscathed by the apocalypse. So maybe something along those lines, but more like they had no idea what's going on above ground. But yeah, these are some DLC recommendations by the fans. Bethesda, we're indecisive, so don't take what we say seriously, please, for the love of God. But anyway, I just want to highlight for the fans themselves some of the most common requests, and at the end here, just a little crazy one to show off. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the return of this series. As long as there's things happening for Bethesda, I will probably keep this series running. I like to do this a lot. I like to vlog. I like to go ahead and bring you guys funny shit, and so this is one way that I like to do it. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments down below. Other than that, be sure to follow me on Twitter, like me on Facebook. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.